if we were to write and say, I bench press 500 pounds, would you try that the next day? Probably not, right?
Yes.
Right. Torn pec, shoulder laying on the floor. It's a progression. So I sometimes feel like sometimes we're too busy trying to give you a perspective as to what we're currently doing, but it is a progression. Like for you can take 40 grams of protein in a shake or whatnot. Maybe some other female that's first starting out, you had to build up to that.
Yeah.
But you also have the muscle to be able to sustain that. And I think that's where I like to kind of remind people is that we all have to start somewhere. We all have to have that base. Because if you started right away, that's when people say, oh, I feel bloated, I feel fat, I'm gaining too much weight, not muscle. That's why. It's because you're eating like you're a 250-pound bodybuilder, when really you're only maybe 180 pounds. Or for a female, it's like, well, I'm trying to be like Miss Olympia, but I don't look like her. It's not working. It's like, well, maybe 25 grams. And then as your body starts evolving, you start getting more muscle, then your body can handle it. Because the last thing you want to do, especially with subs, is to crap them down the toilet. And then everybody writes blogs saying like this stuff doesn't work. It's like, no, it didn't work because you started with too much right away. Your body can't assimilate this. So you have to, over time, you have to be patient. When I first started competing, I was only drinking like 40, 50 gram shakes, and then over time my body can handle more because I was getting bigger. But the minute I tried, I remember this, the minute I tried, I was like, you got a couple guys that were out lifting with, oh man, you gotta do like 75 grams. Man, I did that, I was sick. I was so sick. And your body just it takes time. It takes time. And patience is really a virtue with all that, especially with nutrition, especially with sports nutrition. Very expensive. Like I said, last thing you want to do is waste it.
My question is, how did you decide what you wanted to do when you started competing? Like, I'm just now starting to train. I've lost like 23 pounds. Eventually, I think I want to do competitions, but I don't know whether I fit for bikini or figure or physique. And how did you decide what you wanted to do?
Well, mine was easy because there was only 2 classes. I competed like 8, 9, about 9 years ago. They had figure or bodybuilding, and I wasn't bodybuilding, that's for sure. So I was back when they had 2 suits. They had a one-piece. That was hideous. I'm so glad you guys got rid of that, thank you. That was horrible, I hated that thing. But we had a 1-piece and 2-piece round, so now they got rid of that, now it's 2-piece round, so you have a full package displayed. So that was easy for me choosing, but like how I even got into it was because 2 other girls at my gym were competing, and I was like, I look better than them. I'm gonna do this prep thing too, and I did it. And I think they even dropped out of the show that they were prepping for. So mine was more just like competition. Like we obviously are very competitive people. I grew up playing sports my entire life, so I went on and played college soccer. So once college soccer was over for me, that's when I started getting into lifting. And then these 2 girls were prepping and doing all that stuff. And I was like, I want to do that too. So I did it. And then I just got hooked. And now it's just, I love it. I love being able to, for me, shows are awesome because I just get so much more out of it. I love the whole process. I love seeing what I can do every single time. You're like an artist in some fashion. Like I suck at drawing, but you know what? I can put some delts on and it goes really well. So to me, I get so much more out of it, and it helps make your workouts even that better. So like I have a show coming up, I need to look this way, and I love seeing what I can do myself. So when they finally came out with physique, 2010 Nationals was going to be my last figure show. If you're all in it, this sport can be expensive, like especially once you get to the national level, the suits and traveling, because they're never close, so you always have to fly somewhere, take off of work. It was starting to get tedious, and I wasn't doing well. I'd get like 5th or 6th call outs. I was like, really, what am I doing? Like, I love lifting, but I get last place. So then all of a sudden this talk about this physique thing was a bigger figure girl, someone with a little bit more muscle, a little bit more conditioning, and it was all the terminology that the judges have been telling me for years, like you're too big, you're too hard, you're too striated in shoulders. And I was like, that's me, that's me. So it was my decision, like once they finally decided what the first show was, I was like, I'm doing the very first show, wherever it's at, we will get there. And it was Junior USA's 2011. I went down there and there was like 50 or 60 girls. It was only supposed to be one class, and there were so many girls that showed up that they split it into 2 height classes. So I won my class and won overall. Became the first pro ever in history. So that's like a... Yeah, I love competing. It's just, there's so much that goes on to it. It's not winning trophies and medals. Like, it's awesome. Like, that's a great bonus. But I love everything that goes into it, the whole background, the whole training for something, and seeing all the changes that you did. You did that cardio. You ate that food. Like, and it was hard. Like, nothing's ever easy. So it's the whole mindset that I thrive on. Good question, thank you.
Is the rivalry between you and Ty viewers or
Oh, you said is the rivalry between Kai and myself exaggerated by media?
Yeah. Or is
Probably more by you guys, yeah. Like, I mean, when I say by you guys, like the people on Twitter, Facebook and stuff, yeah. Because Kai and I only see each other very brief when we're on the road. I'm trying to think. The last time I saw him, we were at the LA Fit Expo. I saw him and his lady there having breakfast. I walked right over, didn't sit down, but I mean, we chatted for like 10 minutes. You know, and really it's just, you know, just being civil, just cordial, you know, talk about, and it's not really BS. It's just, you know, hey, how you doing? How's everything? We don't really talk about, oh, so how's your training going or anything like that. I don't even give a damn about his training right now. But, we both have a real competitive spirit. And, I mean, let's face it, I'm standing in his way of his dream. So why the hell would he like me? I mean, that's serious. I mean, I've seen some of his videos and I know he talks about dreams and this and that, and achieving your goals and this and that. We got a guy like me that's winning. So he ain't gonna like me very much, and I don't have to like him very much. But I definitely feel that we're able to keep the respect because we both work hard. We both, you know, do the appearances. And it's not necessarily good versus evil. And I think that's kind of the hard thing, is because sometimes the fans, the media is one thing. You gotta understand, I mean, it ain't no different than people saying who's the MVP of the NBA or whatever. They're going to fight over 2 guys, 3 guys, whatever. In bodybuilding it's a little different because you are the champion. They are who they are. And people need hype going into shows. It sells the show. And I get that, he gets that. But aside from that, I mean, on stage, it's very real. What you guys see is not an act. At least on my part. I mean, you know, it can get very, I won't say physical, but last year at the Olympia, it got a little heated. and you know what, and you know, because I remember him bumping me and this and that, and talking some trash and this and that, and I thought to myself, people in here fail to realize, like, I played the most trash-talking sport in the world. It's basketball. There's been worse fights over a foul or, you know, bucket than not getting called in basketball than there ever was in bodybuilding. Bodybuilders usually, in my eyes, will start maybe acting like a soccer player, you know, so to speak, like, oh, you know, you touched me, like, you know, oh, you're being a punk, you know. And then for me, it was like, well, yeah, he bumped me on a few shots, and we were talking some trash, and then, you know, obviously I had it, and it was like, okay, it's done, you know, let's move on. But I had to realize that I've been heckled much, much greater than anybody can really understand. I mean, try shooting free throws in college and having a bunch of crazy college drunk kids call you every name in the book. I mean, every name. So for me to read something online or hear something about this rivalry, it's like, well, it's a part of the game. And for him, I know last year's Olympia probably stung because he wrote saying that he was Mr. Olympia on everybody's merchandise and stuff, and kind of bit him in the ass. And, you know, I mean, I'm just speaking fact. It's not like opinion in this discussion. It's just the way it is. And he did say this, and it probably sunk in hard that Phil actually brought it, and I'm going to lose. So I kind of looked at it like, well, I played in a few basketball games where I could play my butt off and we're getting blown out, and you're like, I'm just going to foul this guy because I'm frustrated, and that's kind of like how I looked at it with him. It wasn't necessarily like Phil Heath, the person. It was more like this guy, the bodybuilder, he came in here and he won, and I'm just frustrated because he trained hard. I trained hard, but he gave up what we all give up for that one moment, and it just didn't work out his way. And we actually chatted about it that Sunday at a photo shoot. Everybody was kind of like, oh man, we about to see these guys scrap in a photo shoot. And it was like, nah, it was more like, are you all right? I went up to him, I was like, you all right? Yeah, I'm cool. I was like, well, we get it on again in a couple weeks. You know what I mean? In Spain, it's all good. You know, it's frustrating.
Watch the elbow checks.
Well, no, I did say, I was like, well, if there's something that we need to kind of choreograph so that I know how to play with this, then let's do it. But, you know, I wouldn't say it's all love. If I was on fire, he would not even piss on me probably to burn it out. But he would go grab someone to say, hey, Phil, he's on fire. So I'm okay with that. And I think one of those stories to sum it all up is that Kai Green is a very impressive athlete. I watched him do his Dirty Diana posing routine at the New York Pro, I think in 07 or whatnot. And I was actually standing on a chair in the Tribeca Center, clapping, just cheering my ass off for him. And I remember a lot of guys were like, why are you cheering for him? You guys are going to be battling each other for the title one day. I said, well, wait a minute. I can still appreciate what I'm seeing right now. I ain't going to be no hater, you know. He and I will battle many, many times. But I can appreciate what he brings to the table. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that I can appreciate what he brings to the table. He's a great poser, great bodybuilder. He just said Mr. Olympia. And my job is to prevent that. And I will say this, and I'll close it with this, is that at some point in time, probably 10, 15 years after both he and I have already retired, we'll probably see each other at one of these gatherings that they'll put up, you know, at the Arnold, at the Olympia. And maybe then, I wouldn't say maybe we'll be friends, but I'm sure we'll have a lot more funny pictures and we'll be a lot more relaxed. But until then, it's, you know, it is what it is.
Best, but like, when did you like know that you were gonna be the best, and did you feel any more responsible as an athlete?
I honestly didn't know until they gave me that trophy.
Wait a minute. They didn't give her a trophy.
Oh, okay,
She
earned that.
It's different.
But then they to me, and then I knew, I was like, that's. And right after that, as soon as like I held that title, already I sort of felt like, oh my God, like now everybody's eyes are on me. Like, not that there weren't eyes on me before, but now it's like, now the eyes are on. But I do feel like well, my weekends, I'm not free until the end of July, because what am I doing? I'm traveling. Because by us traveling, we're just spreading more word about what we do, meeting more fans, not just in the US, but worldwide, which will only make this sport bigger. So that's like our job. We're the advocates of bodybuilding. So that it's basically our job to do that. So that's why we are in every country and in every state. And yeah, we miss meals, we miss workouts, but it's all a sacrifice to make this sport better than it ever was.
every year is different.